All right, Sports Talker Nation, welcome back as we continue with our team-by-team NFL draft review. Today we're going to talk about the Cleveland Browns, and the Cleveland Browns certainly had a lot of ammunition. They traded with my beloved Eagles out of the 2 spot. I guess they don't need or want a quarterback. I think they're going to try to make sure that RG3 has a chance to reestablish himself. I'm pulling for him. I think he has more talent than people think. I think he can be a pocket passer. I think he got in a bad situation with the ownership in Washington, so I'm pulling for him. I hope they're right. And frankly, I kind of pull for Cleveland. You can only be the mistake by the lake for so long. You really want them to do something. That said, a lot of quantity, not so much quality with this draft. They wound up with 14 picks, a lot of it in the mid to later rounds. And I didn't, frankly, love what they did. They had a gaping need at wide receiver, so they went Corey Coleman in the first round. I'm glad they addressed the need. I just didn't like Coleman that much. I think he's too small. I think he's a supplemental player as opposed to a primary player, so I didn't love the pick. Emmanuel Ogbah, I like as a defensive end. He doesn't fit their system, right? They play a different system than he played in college. He's more of a true 4-3 end. They're going to try to plug him into a 3-4. That's going to take some time. I do think he has the talent, so I love the talent. Not sure I love the pick. I think they did well in the third round. Carl Nassib, another guy who's going to be not necessarily a scheme fit, but I think he can get after the quarterback as an interior rusher or maybe even slide out to defensive end in a 3-4. I do like Sean Coleman a lot. Anybody who doesn't root for that guy, if you don't know his story, diagnosed with cancer, came back, played a full year. Whoever doesn't root for him has a heart blacker than the Grinch. So I'm pulling for him. I hope he does well. Cody Kessler, I think, is an interesting pro prospect, but a terrible fit in Cleveland. I think he's got to be a West Coast offense quarterback. I don't think he's got a big arm, and I think playing in that weather late in the year, that's kind of a rough fit for Kessler. They did wind up with Zach Sanchez in round 5, and I think he's an excellent late selection. I think Rashad Higgins is a great selection in the 5th round as well. My favorite pick of theirs is actually their 7th rounder. I don't know what teams were thinking about Scooby Wright. I saw this guy playing. Yeah, he had some rust this year, but coming into the year, he was the defensive player of the year in the Pac-12. He hasn't gotten smaller. He hasn't gotten slower. He's gotten a little bit more dinged, but I think he'll be back to healthy. I think he's going to be an immediate starter. He can play inside or outside linebacker for them. I think he's going to be a steal of this draft and that 250th overall pick. So with all that said, I do give them a B-. Again, there's quantity. Some of the later players pan out, the Scooby Wrights, the Zach Sanchez's. I think they'll certainly help them, but they need to get better on the offensive side. They need the wide receiver. They need to hope that RG3 stays true and can return to his previous form. But with that said, the B- is something I'm sure they'll take. We'll see how it pans out. I'm your host, the G-Man on the Cleveland Browns, and I am out.